Hello, hello. You may recall a few months ago I initiated a project that I was calling Finish Manga May, where I was going to look at some series where I had gotten just to the precipice of the finale, but due to a bunch of complexes that I don't really want to get into right now, I could not bring myself to read the end of. And this project actually went pretty okay at the start. I was able to finish some series and I had a great time and I enjoyed the video making process. But I was also very busy and I still faced a lot of like psychological resistance, so that spilled into Just Finish It June, which saw again a meager attempt to finish some series. And now at last we have arrived at Jesus Christ, Just Fucking Finish It July. But I'm going to tackle a big one here without much further ado and read the final volume of Tokyo Ghoul Re, which is, of course, the sequel series to Tokyo Ghoul. If you were like me, you'd been aware of this series for quite some time, but really my only impression of it is, oh, it looks really edgy. That was basically the totality of everything I'd thought about it up until my boyfriend telling me, "Oh, this is like one of my favorite manga of all time. Like I love this manga so much." And then it twisted in my mind to, oh, it's like really edgy, but it'll be like really good. It'll be like very psychologically intense and edgy and miserable and probably pretty gnarly and gory. And it was all of those things. But when I started reading it, I enjoyed it way, way more than I was expecting. Like, I was expecting to be, like, impressed and moved, but it actually started checking a lot of boxes for stuff I love in manga. And this may surprise you if you don't know much about the series. I don't know why you'd be watching this video if you if you hadn't read the series, but whatever. It surprised me. Tokyo Ghoul is actually like a huge, sprawling, world-building based battle shonen series that I would say has more in common with One Piece than any other manga series I've read. Like, not only is the series that I knew that it is most similar to One Piece, but I also think that this is the series that has come closest to One Piece of any manga series in terms of like nailing these qualities I enjoy. Which I never would have believed until I really started sinking myself into it, but it has so many things that I really appreciate One Piece for, like competing factions of power who in turn have these tangled hierarchies of both rank and status and social power and then actual fighting ability, leading to this complex infighting and different sub factions, and everyone having their deep personal motivations that both kind of enhance and interfere with their societal expectations and the demands of whatever powers they've allied themselves with. A really deep tactical understanding of writing shonen battles, where it's not just kind of like who has the bigger power number, but really kind of takes into account people's motivation towards the fight and what specifically they can do against each opponent and what have they prepared for and what is a surprise to them, and all sorts of deeply woven foreshadowing that I don't know, it has that same kind of Oda feeling of like, damn, did he really set this up like 200 chapters ago? Or is he just writing in this like nice open way that leaves the door open for so many different like twists and characters coming back and revelations and stuff? It's been sick. I've really enjoyed the series, and then because I was enjoying it so much, I've my pace of reading it has slowed to a crawl because I again, this is all weird complexes I have. I don't feel like I really don't want to feel like I'm wasting it or whatever, which has been very annoying for my boyfriend, understandably, who just wants me to finish reading it so we can talk about it in totality. Anyways, I will say this. I think with One Piece, because I've been reading it since I was like 10, it has occupied like a huge chunk of my brain, the size of like, math or recipes or other fundamental things. And so I'm like a walking One Piece encyclopedia. Whereas this series, I think in making these videos, it will become clear like it's a lot harder for me to like keep track of characters and keep track of character histories and stuff. So that's my disclaimer. I'll do my best, and if I'm like totally lost as to like, oh, who was this guy, I'm gonna try to like, do some spoiler free research and make sure I'm like up to speed or whatever. But the I think honestly, like I feel like this is stuff that rewards a rereading, and I'm gonna enjoy it all the more, enriching that like context and getting more intimate and whatever. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. That's my disclaimer. Just because I know in the past people will get mad at me if I forgot like character names and stuff. It's probably gonna happen here, but we'll do our best. We'll do our best, and I think despite that, I'm still going to enjoy this initial read through a whole lot of this final volume. I'm certainly going to get the emotional impact, I think, even if I don't remember these details. And hopefully it'll give me an excuse to just talk about a lot of different aspects that I really loved about this series and the various ways that like surprised me. All right, so this one is called Thin Ice, chapter 165, the first chapter of the final volume. Discussing up here on the roof the ROS patients who are like somewhere between human and ghoul now. The fallout of Furuta's bizarre plan to just ghoulify the world or something. It's not really entirely clear if there is an endgame past that or if he's just a fucker and he's just fucking shit up. This dude we've seen grow into a fine young man and get married. She said, I'm an investigator and I should stay and fight. Go on your honeymoon instead. I wonder where she is though, because it's like bad all over. At least it's bad like all over Tokyo. One thing that I think is very interesting about this series is that the world building is like very expansive in that you hear about, ghoul families in France and Germany, and you hear about, worldwide reactions to ghouls and stuff, but like the action all takes place in Tokyo. Like it's literally Tokyo Ghoul. And it's sometimes unclear, like, is this a threat just because it's gonna fuck up Tokyo, which of course is like the most populous city in the world, so that's already a huge deal. But then there's this kind of like vague unease of like, is this just kickstarting like a global crisis or whatever? So that's something I always find interesting. I talked a lot about this with B-Stars too, where it's like the scale is left ambiguous in a way that can be very powerful and resonant. Anyways, I gotta get moving. We've got a lot to read. I can't talk so much about this. But yeah, it's just like interesting to me. Maybe every human in the 23 wards will turn into a ghoul. But does that mean that every human in Japan will turn into a ghoul? Every human on Earth will turn into a ghoul? Psycho is fucked though. Poor girl. She was just our lazy, sleepy princess, and now she is weird narwhal woman. As long as that thing's around, we'll keep seeing more and more ROS patients. Keeps bringing forth spawn. If I had 9 oviducts, one of them is in the decay phase. See, this is something I think is really cool about the series too. Is there's almost like a procedural aspect to it, like a police procedural, where often off-screen, characters will be doing a ton of research into like the situation, and then it's kind of like the action sequences, the moments we focus on are like they already have like a plan, they already have like a decent amount of information, and then it's all about like how does that plan execute versus trip up or whatever. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of a procedural insofar as like there's this kind of like fact gathering phase and then this like execution phase and then deviation and subversion of that. So yeah, it's like this is kind of setting up, I think. Cutting off the poison at its source is our only option, yeah. So, not all spawner carriers of the poison. Pinpoint locations of the poisonous one. They're concentrated around a particular oviduct. No doubt something is there. Okay. It's probably Rize. I think Rize is like the ingredient X that's making these ghoulifying creatures or whatever. The spawn. Large underground opening there. Perfect place for trouble to hide. So we're like gearing up to get into the big final battle, and I assume the majority of this volume is going to be big final battle. But it's like interesting to me, like, who is on the other side at this point? It's like Furuta, sure. He better get his ass beat or I'm going to be mad. All of the spawn, the giant creature itself, and Rize, his like ultimate experiment or whatever. But on the other side, we have like every named character that's still alive and kicking is going to be allied against it. So, yeah, so this idea of like even ghouls will get fucked up. The Quinces were getting fucked up. Humans are for sure going to get fucked up. So, yeah, let me go. This is obviously Dear Ken saying this. I'm resistant to the poison. So it's like, can we send him in solo? Is he going to turn into another centipede or something? So that's what happened last time he had to take on too much stuff solo. Okay, explosion. Oh, and then V! Obviously V as well. Bro, they're so stealthy, they slipped my mind in breaking down, you know, what the hell is going on. What the hell is going on with V? Okay, what do we know about V? I think this is like a very good sort of functional foreshadowing that in the fairly early on in OG Tokyo Ghoul, we learn that what's his face, the owl, the OG owl, owner of the coffee shop, had like this weird shadowy connection to this elite ghoul organization that wanted him to do certain things, and he was like, nah, I'm quitting the game. And then later he was like, they got me back on my bullshit, all of that. And it feels like very functional in his flashback. Okay, there needs to be some sort of like shadowy figure that pushed him to do this stuff, that put him into this conflict. And then it's like so pushed to the background, so subtly just kind of like drifts out of your focal point. And then way later, you're kind of like, wait, that was like never addressed. Like, who were those guys? Now that we're kind of plumbing the upper echelons of all these power structures and we like understand who the big wigs in the counter ghoul organization are and the Washu family, and like we know who the big ghoul organizations are. We know about Blue Tree or whatever it was called, Aoi something, Blue something. And it's like, wait, but those guys were never accounted for. And then it's just like, oh shit, that's because they're like endgame. So yeah, these are our other enemies. These are how the tables are gonna get balanced for a big final showdown. So V swarms. It's not really clear. Is Furuta afraid that they are actually gonna make a reasonable counterattack? Yeah, they know we discovered something. Ooh, and the clowns too. The clowns are still on... They're not really on anyone's side. I think it's like an individual basis. Like, I can't imagine Uta is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to kill all my friends. Because I agree with the world you're bringing about. They kind of just do whatever is, like, most interesting and, you know, self-beneficiary in, like, that exact moment. Okay, so here we see a little skirmish. They're coming to us. It could mean they don't want us to go to them. Kimisiri is right. If so, we should find the source right now. Oh my god. This is the other thing this series does to me. Is it, like, screws with my rhythm of how I think things ought to escalate in shonen. And this is where I think the fact that it feels so much like One Piece, and it's, like, so in the school of One Piece in terms of, like, world building and arc building and stuff, and then it like subverts that just a little bit in a way that can really like mess with you. So naively I was like, okay, maybe like first few chapters of this volume are going to be like staking out the territory and figuring out our strike plan and some emotional scenes of the characters, you know, wishing each other well before this big battle. Then the big battle. But so many times in the series, it's been like, oh shit, like, this is the big battle. Like, everything is actually happening now. This, what seemed like a skirmish, what seemed like a little random bit of danger is now escalated to the war for this arc. Okay, so, Ayato, we haven't seen in a little bit. Cool with, Kaneki now, I guess, despite Kaneki breaking half of his bones. He gave a bone to his sister, so That makes it a-okay. Whatever. So the two of them are gonna infiltrate. Our other main comrades are gonna hang back. What's his face here? The cool, stoicy, but ure, saying a nice goodbye here. Lots of goodbye. Again, it's just like, oh shit, like now it's happening. We should go do it right now. And so they do. Goodbye, wife. Goodbye, childhood friends. Nice paneling and stuff here. Oh my god, this is going to take forever. I have so much to say about this. I was hoping to do the whole volume in one session now. But we'll see how we do. I'll record for a few hours at least. But yeah. Now, you know what? Fuck it. I'll say everything I want to say. I don't care how long it takes. This is nice paneling. Let's even talk about the paneling and stuff. I think the series is very unlike One Piece in that it really does not seem to care about the economy of paneling. That One Piece, to a fault, I think, tries to be so efficient with what it conveys in terms of progressing the plot. And One Piece, you know, will luxuriate and have like a big spread or something to introduce a scene or whatever, or to show a very devastating attack or something. But many of the pages are more like functional, I think. Whereas Tokyo Ghoul, very rarely do you get that sort of functionality of like, let's just put an entire conversation on this page in a way that's like easy to track. Instead, I think to its credit, it's always thinking about the artistry of it. Like, how do we make this interesting as a manga? And so just little things like this, like the zoom in on Ken across these 3 vertical panels, and just the kind of like distilling of looking around the room and seeing all these people, and then just kind of like settling the focus in on these 2 people that are most important to him. I don't know. It has like a very nice emotional effect. Special recon team is about to conduct a search for the source of poison. All right. That makes a lot of sense to me. It's cool that we get to see kind of like the guerrilla, scrappy, ad hoc tactics of the ghouls kind of like combined and coalesce with the counter ghouls, much more like hierarchical, procedure-based, lines of communication oriented, like military type approach. I think they've expressed that well in this big team-up saga. Okay, so we're gonna see some of our favorite dudes fighting against V. Here we see the former Arima squad and that little freak Junko and the Quincy's all gearing up. They're gonna get some crazy fight scenes. Maybe the plan backfired. Okay, who are these freaks? Do we know these freaks? I don't think so. I think these are like clowns that have involved themselves majorly with Furuta's plans. We'll use her, Risei. Alright, we got a lot of fighting. What's his face here? Speaking French, of course. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep saying what's his face. It's just I have to clear out a couple internal filing cabinets to get all these characters' names in. But I'll do my best. Alright. Some nice Tokyo Ghoul violence. But this is a little... Should they really be losing so easily? Is this fake out like a fake out of a fake out? Especially the way they're getting sliced up. It just seems... I don't know. Like, would we really... I mean, to be fair, that is Junko, who's, like, god tier. But, like... Yeah, I kind of feel like, oh, you know... These mooks that they're throwing at him are just kind of mooks. This is not a representative of V's real fighting force. Nice, good fight choreography and stuff. These guys aren't playing. I don't know, doesn't it? So far it seems like it's going pretty easy for our heroes. Like, true, we're seeing very, very strong people on the side of the heroes. But typically in a lot of these, like, big battle sequences, he takes the effort to show both sides are getting injured, both sides are suffering losses, give it more of like a back and forth. But then here, V, remember drawing his katana, an incisive attack. Okay. Yeah, now they're getting more serious. I really like the design of these V guys, by the way. But they kind of dress like gangsters, but then they have like katana. And they're so, like, simple. Like, they're not overly elaborate designs or whatever. They have, like, an ominousness because of that. Oh, shit. Huh? Okay, just kidding. Whom? Whomst? Okay, so that... At first I thought, did a V person transform into this? But no. It's this thing that's falling from the sky on the previous page. Alright, that's it. That's the end of the first chapter. Took us 20 minutes at this rate. It's gonna take a while to read the whole volume. But, you know, we had some preamble and stuff. Let's keep going. Let's read chapter 166. I'll see you then.